Welcome back, everybody, to Music Talk. I'm Dave.
I'm Mike.
And this week we're doing the latest from Dorothy. Album cover looks like this. I'm not sure why lately bands have not put their name on the front of the album covers. It drives me crazy because you don't even know what it is. I mean, you see that, you don't know what that is. But
No,
anyway,
well, and I think you're going to a masquerade party.
Right. I don't know what it is. So, and then on the side, you can actually read it. And the name of the album is Gifts from the Holy Ghost. And then on the back, you actually have, the title and the thing. Look, I could see you in the case.
Hey, you straighten out my beard here.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the CD looks like this. Oops. It's got the Dorothy symbol on there.
Yeah.
And then inside, which is very hard to read, man, you got to have a lot of light to see this blue down there.
Yeah.
My eyes don't work so well. So I didn't really like that too much. They kind of just hurt me a little bit.
That's why I buy albums.
Right. I know. I know.
That way I don't have to go buy me some reading glasses.
Yep.
I already got my prescriptions on.
Yeah. So you got all the song lyrics, and you've got everybody that plays on everything on here. She gives you a little thank you on the back and another picture of a statue or a cherub or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, I actually like this record a lot. I thought it was a really good rock record. There's some people that are involved in this record that we've talked about recently in the past, not in the past, but recently actually. There's a couple surprises on this record for me, but all in all, I think she's got a great voice, and the songs were very energetic. I mean, it's a high octane album from song 1 to song 10. One thing I really like about it, it's 10 songs. It's a quick album. It's like 40 minutes, so you're not lulled to sleep by an hour long or hour and 20-minute long record that you're ready to move on. I mean, I think it's a fast-paced record. You get through it fast, and by the time it's over, you're kind of like, dang, I didn't realize that was it, So
yeah, I liked the album. I mean, it was cool. I just want everybody to get over their COVID releases, and let's get back to some real action again.
Yeah, putting in the studio.
Yeah, because, and the reason why I'm saying that is a lot of people have sat themselves down in a living room or in a motel room with their little digital recorders, and and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong, but when your whole album is evolved around that whole scenario, it shows. It shows. And some of the human element is taken out of it, because you probably sat there and went over your stuff 40 or 50 times before you decided that you were happy with it. And then it gets sounding really sterile.
Well, one thing that about this record that I didn't like was the fact that a lot of the songs, the same guy plays all the stuff, So, and we've seen that a lot come recently, where you'll have one guy produces, writes, arranges, plays guitar, bass, whatever, and that's it.
Yeah,
so it's really one-dimensional, right? So,
right.
I like having a whole band in a room, and you're throwing stuff back and forth to each other and say, "What do you think of this? What do you think of this? Let's do this. Let's do this," and then get that live feel.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's the whole thing too. This whole sterile atmosphere that's being created here lately, it drives me crazy. I want to hear a chair drag across the floor, or a cough, or
a bass drum pedal squeak,
or something. I mean,
something to show me how live it is.
And this Nolan that I was watching on YouTube, he was talking about, he said that they have actually created an algorithm for the drum tracks that they use on these records to actually make a mistake every once in a while.
So it doesn't sound like it's programmed.
Right.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It still sounds programmed, but
right. Yeah.
It's a program mistake.
A real drummer.
Yeah, right. I mean,
we'll roll through them real quick. Then we'll talk about it. First one is A Beautiful Life. I think it's a good rocker right out of the gate. You know, it's a pretty kick butt song. This one here features none other than Phil X on guitar and bass, and then you got Brian Tichy on drums. You know, who's playing with Dead Daisies now again. So, you know, so that's what I'm saying. I'm going to name off some of the people on here that you know we've been talking about in the past 6 months or so.
I thought Tichy was a keyboard player.
No, he's a drummer. Brian Tichy. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. I'm thinking of somebody else. Okay.
All right. Yeah, you're thinking of Ben Montench.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not going to name him on this record. He was on when we did a bunch of the other ones, but no, not Tench. So yeah. So this one's a good rocker. This one, she was saying in an interview, she said that it had one of her favorite lyrics on the whole record, which was "Don't let the demons get you down" on it. So that she quoted that as being one of her favorite lyrics on the record.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. And this was written by Jason Hook, which he's part of he worked with Five Finger Death Punch, I believe, for a little while. So he's been around. He's worked with a lot of people, you know. So you got a lot of these people on this record have done a lot of stuff in this rock genre. You know, a lot of the stuff we've been listening to, we're hearing these guys do something, whether produce, mix, or play.
Right.
And some of them do it all. You know, Phil X, we've talked about him past couple records, you know. So
Yep.
And then we get to number 2, which is Big Guns. And this one to me was kind of like a pop song in a way. And I mean, when I'm hearing it, I'm like, you know, you could hear Miley Cyrus sing this song, or one of the other, you know, poppy singers that are out there today. You know, that's kind of the feel I got of this one. Yeah. And this one was written by Chris Traynor, which he wrote it with her, and he's from Bush, the group Bush that he did work with, and of course others. And here you also have Phil X playing all the guitars and bass, and Brian Tichy on drums again. So I think it was a good song. She called it a gothic Western, I guess. You know, kind of like getting out of an abusive relationship is what she was saying. But I think that's a lot of this record.
Well, yeah, you know, I mean, she's talking
relationship or addiction. So
yeah, she's talking about a lot of when COVID set in. You know, she relapsed like about 4 times.
Yeah.
And one of the times she relapsed was when one of her exes was stalking her, and actually, I guess he attacked her or something, and she relapsed then. And
she had some medical conditions and stuff that she was, you know, pain pills, stuff like that. She talked about quite a bit of that stuff, but
now to go into depth on that, now I did read a couple of different accounts of the last time they were out on tour. One of their guitar techs OD'd. He survived it, but he OD'd.
Yeah.
And one of the reports on it was talking about how she had prayed for him, and he, you know, all of a sudden came around. And so that was leading up to the fact of where she went ahead and joined the church and everything else. And I mean, that's all well and good.
Yeah. I mean, whatever get through it.
Right. Yeah. Whatever gets you through tonight, you know,
and hopefully she did.
Yeah. I hope she did.
Yeah.
I just, I don't know. I just want to hear consistency in the story when I start researching it. You know, I don't want to hear different things or it's totally left out of the picture. Right. Nobody's asking about the name of the tech or anything. It's like, did that happen or did it not?
Yeah.
And that's my only concern.
Yeah. A lot of people probably trying to stay away from it, you know?
Yeah.
Who knows?
But
if we ever get her on the show, we're going to ask her.
Well, we can ask her. Yeah. I mean, you know,
hopefully she'll come on.
Yeah.
I'll put the feelers out there, but I'm not, you know, we'll see.
But it's like she said, you know, I mean, I was watching the one interview that she had, you know, we were talking about earlier. And she goes, well, a lot of the things with the younger people today, they're very introverted.
Mm-hmm.
They're sitting around just staring at their phones. They're not
Yep.
socializing, and they are going off the deep end with this fentanyl.
Yeah.
And it's a crying shame.
It
It's
is.
what it is. And
Right.
it gives the appearance of a society that's got their arm out and their leg up going, what are you giving me?
Yeah.
You know, it's not a working society.
Well,
But
that's one reason
that's a bad picture. Yeah.
and that's one thing about this record that she was talking about. She wanted to get people out and out of the
Right,
house and doing
right,
stuff
right,
again, you know.
right,
So,
exactly.
and you know, that brings us up to number 3, which is Rest in Peace, which this song to me is about getting over addiction or bad relationship, however you want to relate to it. But to me, it sounds like she's putting a relationship to rest. I mean, an addiction to rest.
Yeah.
You know, she's
Well, I
talking
hope
about
so. I hope so.
that's what I feel about it. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but that's how it sounds to me. This one was actually written by Scott Stevens, and he plays a lot of the stuff on it. And they got a drummer named Evan Fredrickson, which I think's a studio guy. I'm not sure who he is, but the song is one of my favorites on the record. Man, I love this song. It was the first song I heard off this record, and I was like, man, this is a great song. So, and I'm not too familiar with Dorothy. I just ran across this band recently.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I heard a couple songs. I'm like, man, this is good stuff. And then I went and listened to some of their older stuff, and I like some of the older stuff. And I saw that she just put this record out. So I'm like, okay, we got to review this one because it's fresh. So.
Right. Well, I've got to say that a lot of this reminds me of when I was in Chicago, my wife and I, living and working there at Jesus People.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the younger people that came through at that time remind me of what she's doing right now.
Yeah.
They were all all artistic, but they were all also dealing with
some demons.
I don't know, abuse or addiction or whatever. You know, I mean, it's all in the cake mix.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, more power to her. I mean, I think, and that's where that's where your artistic values come from, is what you're living and walking every day. And you know, you write your stories, and you know, and what it boils down to is you become a master of being a lyricist,
mm-hmm.
of telling a complete story in 3 sentences.
That's right.
And then a chorus.
That's right. Yep.
You know, so there you go.
Yeah. So then we get to number 4, which is Back on Top of the World. And this song here was written by her and Trevor Lukather, which is Steve Lukather's son.
Okay.
So Steve,
I was going to say, you know, that name's not very
right
common. You know,
so he actually played the guitar, bass, all the synths on it, and then they have a drummer on here named Jake Hayden, which Jake Hayden is the guy currently playing in her touring band on drums.
Okay.
So he's played on like 3 songs on here, and he's the actual drummer on tour with her now. As far as I know, I'm pretty sure he's still the drummer. He was a month or 2 ago, anyway. So you know how that goes. So this one here, I think it's a good one. This is one that you were talking about, people being locked in. She felt frustrated. She just wanted to get out there and get back on top of the world, tired of being restricted into a room or whatever it is, to your phone, restricted to your phone or whatever it was everybody's been stuck on. So she wanted everybody to get back out and get back on top of the world and do stuff,
Yep.
So her and Trevor did that. Good song too, man. Great rocking song. I like it a lot. Has some good riffs in there. The next one, number 5, Hurricane, is the same as Trevor Lukather again. Jake Hayden. Trevor's doing all the stuff. Jake's on drums. Another great rocker. And this one here is kind of like falling in love with somebody unexpectedly. They just kind of hit you like a hurricane, She was talking about when they wrote this song, she was kind of humming the chorus a little bit. And Trevor's like, man, I really like that chorus. But she was just saying gibberish. But on her way home, she started
singing
the words together. Yeah.
Right. Lyrics started happening. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I ended up turning into what we hear now, which I thought was pretty cool. So the next
Which
one,
is
number 6. I'm sorry.
Which is a good reason. It's a good reason to keep something recording video and audio in your vehicle at all times, regardless of the wrecks or whatever. Who knows? You might write the next, I don't know, overture or something, you know, that makes you a billionaire. You know?
Right. And, you know, the thing too is like when Black Sabbath used to record, they would sit there and jam on stuff, and Ozzy would just say stuff, but he would get the way he wanted it to sound as far as, you know, the melodies and stuff.
Right.
And then they would bring the words in later. You know, a lot of people do that actually. So,
yeah, but that's the whole thing. I mean, and see, all right, just like you and I right now, I mean, of course you got your house, but I'm sitting here in an apartment. I got 2 full kids. I can't sit here and do a damn thing, you know? Yeah. So when you've got the ability to be able to set up a rehearsal space and just go, and regardless if you're working or not, go at it 4 and 5 nights a week, and just sit there for 2 or 3 hours a night at least. Yeah, something's going to happen. Yeah, you know?
Exactly.
I mean,
and you capture it while you can. You know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, that was what I loved about working 6 and 7 nights a week on stage. You know, it's like,
introduce new stuff all the time.
So. Well, I'd sit back there and practice different things while I was playing and stuff. Yeah, you know, I mean, it's like, I'm gonna use this thing in this song. You know, it's like, okay,
that's how you
nobody
get
knew the difference.
That's how you get your chops up. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. So then we get to number 6, and this one here is the one song that she didn't write. It was written by Audrey May and Zach Malloy, and I want to say she said that it was written for a friend's father that had passed away or something to that effect. But you could definitely tell it was about someone passing away when you hear the words. But it's kind of the only ballad on the record. I really wish that it would have been more of an acoustical instrument instead of a lot of the programming. If it would have been just like piano, acoustic guitar, and an upright bass, I think they could have really pulled an epic song out of this.
Yeah. Well, see, that goes back to what we were talking about. It's like, okay, watch the Beatles get back. And it's just like on Sgt. Pepper's or whatever. They went in with a few ideas already in the can. Yeah. And as they were progressing through the album, they are sitting there just jamming and coming up with different riffs and stuff like that. Yeah. And bringing this stuff together as a group. Right. Yeah. You know, and lyrics would pop out of one of them's mouth. Well, then that's up to them to go ahead and write lyrics, you know? Right. Right. And so there you go. I mean, that's being human. That's letting it breathe. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. You know, I mean,
yeah. And this one here, I wish it didn't have all the programming. It was the one thing, you know, I hate all the programming that goes on these days, and it was kind of busy, and I just felt like if it would have been like it could have been like an Adele type song where it could have just been her with a piano or something, and she could have belted this thing out to where it would have made you cry. I mean, it already makes you well up a little, but man, she could have made me cry. But I really like the song though. But anyway, that's just my opinion. So.
Well, I mean, it's a valid opinion. It's like, you know, sometimes you can overproduce things. Yeah. Not sometimes, a lot of times. And I think most of what we're hearing today is way overproduced and way over digitized. For sure. You know, and
that's again, we were talking about earlier how one guy does everything. So you know, he's laying all these layers on top of each other, and it's just losing that human touch, right?
And it's like, hold on, stop.
Yeah, let's take half that off and throw it away.
Right.
Yeah. Reminds me really of a funny story in one of the bands I used to play in. Mike came in one day, and he's like, we were doing I think a Led Zeppelin song, and Mike walks up and he's like, well, I'll sit in on this. And he goes over to the drum set, pulls half the drums away, and says, you don't even need these, and then sits down and just plays half the kit. So he basically stripped these away. You don't need that stuff. Kind of like what I'm saying here. They could have stripped some layers away off of this song, you know. I'll never forget that though. That was funny.
I remember that.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing with all these? Get them over. You just need these 3 right here. That's it.
That's it.
But yeah. So anyway, We got stories like that we could tell y'all all day long.
Oh my
Let us know
God.
in the comments how much of those you want to hear, because I mean we could just talk all day about stuff. So
About the way Dad put me on stage.
yeah,
Sammy Ferguson, the drummer, got drunk, fell off his stool, and I was a juvenile delinquent, so Dad was dragging me along.
Yeah.
I wound up having to get on stage at 12 years old.
Yeah, there you go. See, if you want to hear more, let us know in the comments. So we get to number 7. This is kind of it's kind of about Mike, actually. This is called Black Sheep.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
This actually, it was like my wife's anthem. She loves this song because it's like, to her, I mean, she's always been the black sheep, so she's got an anthem now, and everybody that's that way. You have this song that you can play now, hail, hail the black sheep, right?
Yep.
So, this was done by Scott Stevens, also Blair Daly and Zach Malloy. And Scott Stevens plays everything on here except the drums, which is Evan Fredrickson again. So another studio guy. But yeah, I mean, great song. I mean, you can hear this one in a stadium or a concert and everybody's just yelling it out with her, I mean, it's a great rocker. I really dug this song. So
yeah. I mean, I got to tell you, I liked everything I heard on the album. It wasn't a thing I heard on the album that really made me turn my head and go, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
it subliminally set in the pocket. But that's the problem though with today is kids today that they're so wrapped up in playing their video games and stuff that music is just background.
Yeah. They're not getting into it, man.
They're not using imagination. They're letting video games keep their brain busy, which is a good thing in one sense, but the other sense is creativity goes out the door.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid, I'm talking about when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, and FM Underground was taking off, and I would lay at night. My mom would, she would have killed me if she knows awake, but I'd lay down in front of the damn radio.
Yeah.
And I'd listen to that Underground FM all night long. And then she wondered why I couldn't get up out of bed.
Right.
School the next day.
Yep. It's funny though, because I mean, it's almost like what my notes are here, because you keep preluding into these next songs perfectly. Because the next one is Touched by Fire, right? And right out of her words was this was one that she wants people to get out and live. Get out of the house, stop playing the video games, and live life. That's what this song's about. Get out there and live it. So this was done again by Trevor Lukather and Jake Hayden on drums again. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to create a stadium rocker where they can get people off their butt, off the video games, and out there and rocking again, man, like it used to be. And I like the song. There was only one part that I didn't care for. There was that little group chorus where they're going, hey, 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 all that mess. I thought that was
that's when they broke out the vape pipes. It's supposed to be the big lighters, not the vape pipes.
Yeah, right. But again, had a great riff, a great Trevor Lukather riff. He's rocking it again, and I really like the stuff he did on this record, between him and Phil X. I mean, this is some good guitar work on here again,
Yeah, I just wish, I mean, the more you're talking, and this is probably the element that kept me at a doldrum with the whole album, was that it's very few people with input.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
See what I'm saying? I mean, these are big projects. Okay.
Yeah.
There is more to the camp than just 2 or 3 people. Should be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I totally agree with you. So,
I'm sorry. I'm old school. I miss the old days.
Yeah.
I miss when it took 6 months to do an album.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, but what you wound up with is Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
Exactly. You didn't wind up with Justin Bieber after 2 weeks. I mean, come on.
Yep. So then we get to number 9. And this is called Made to Die. And this was written with her and Keith Wallen. So this is everything was done by Joel Hamilton on this one. And he's like a producer or something, I guess, out of Brooklyn. I didn't find a lot about him, but I think he's a producer from Brooklyn. So he did pretty much everything on this song. I like the song. Another good one. She said this one here was it's like a high school heartbreak song. You fall in love, it's not going to last. So it's kind of why it's made to die is what it's called. So, you can probably look into undertones, but basically it's just about young love. It's not going to work. So, whatever it was. So, anyways, and then we get to number 10, which to me was one of my favorite songs on the record. And it's the title track, Gifts from the Holy Ghost. And
it was.
And this is Phil X and Brian Tichy again, but this was written by a lot of the members that she's had in her band for years. You had Eli Wolfmeyer, Owen Barry, Jason Ganger, I think's his name on it, and he did a lot of stuff on here. You had Elliot Larango, which is her current bass player on tour now. It was like 5 or 6 people that wrote this. And she was talking about when they were on tour, it was originally called Spokane. The song was, and they were on tour, and there was something on fire or something was burning down.
Well, yeah, it was. I heard her talking about it, and I remember this. This was summer before COVID-19 hit, and we had there were fires that were going on, wildfires, and it's just like she was talking about in Seattle and in Spokane, and here in Olympia, where I'm at, the skies were like a reddish yellow.
Yeah.
Just covered. I mean, you weren't seeing the sunlight. You were seeing the cloud of smoke illuminated by the sunlight.
Yeah.
And it was awful. I mean, I had to see up here, you don't really need air conditioning. I mean, but I had to break down and buy one.
Yeah.
To shut the windows.
Yeah.
To shut the windows to keep clean air going. Yeah, it was real bad.
Yeah. But then she started putting it together, and it ended up being a song about kind of waking up spiritually and connecting with your soul. So then they ended up changing it to Gifts from the Holy Ghost. But it was all created from what she was seeing through that.
Yeah.
Which is it's a great freaking song, man. I mean, I wish it would have been higher up on the song list. It's so good. But it's a great one to end with too, though. So
one thing I want to really praise her about. Actually, I hate to use that word praise, but just to give her some good props, a good nod.
Yeah,
is the fact that so she found the Lord through her addiction and stuff like that.
Yep.
Wrote this whole album was written basically around her experiences of going through this through COVID.
Yep.
And what I'm getting at is, thank God she's not above using the word fuck or shit or whatever, because she found religion. You know what I'm saying? I mean, believe me, when Jesus was walking around, he didn't care what people were saying or whatever.
Yeah.
The only thing he cared about was everybody getting along and showing each other love. And here you go, man. And that's the whole 9 yards right there.
Yep.
You don't have to label it. And when I saw the title of the album, I had a problem of sitting down going, okay, what am I going to hear?
Yep.
And thankfully it wasn't about preaching.
No, I mean, it's really about
personal experience.
It's about her personal experience, but it's also in touch with everything going on today.
Right. Exactly.
She hits it all.
I mean,
I feel like it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's like,
to me, it's a high energy record. I mean, from start to finish, it's just you're pumped. You want to get out there and rock. You put this on while you're driving, you're going to get somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's not putting you to sleep at all. I really dig it. I've watched some of her live stuff, and I think she's even better live. I mean, her voice is really good. At some point, sometimes I think she almost gets some of those inflections like Cher a little bit, where she has that vibrato. It reminds me a lot of what Cher used to do,
Yeah.
But I just think it's a great record. To me, I wish it was, like you said, it wasn't so much of just a few people doing it all. I think it's missing that aspect of the human nature thing where everybody's in a room and playing like a Rival Sons record would be,
Oh yeah.
But I feel like this is a great step for them. And I think that maybe the next one is going to really hit big.
Well, see,
I think there may be more interaction on the next one.
I wish she could go to the school that Ann and Nancy Wilson went to.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, here's how we did it.
Yeah.
It worked for us. It'll work for you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying sound like Hart. I'm just saying
exactly
walk in those shoes. And the thing is,
the vocals to do it, man.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
and here's the thing too. Everything's been done.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that anybody can do today that you could really, really honestly lay originality on.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's not a riff you could do. There's not a melody that you could come up with that hasn't been done or tried before.
Yeah.
The thing is, walk through it with confidence.
Yep.
And deal with massive input from people all around you.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. Well, for me, I'm giving this one an 8.6 because I liked it a lot. I mean, there wasn't much in here that I didn't like. So I think it's a great record. If you like the Pretty Reckless, you'll like this for sure. Her vocals are great. Some good instrumentation. I liked a lot of Trevor Lukather stuff on here. Thought he was great. Phil X, he's quality as it gets,
Mm-hmm.
So you got quality, you got good writing, good songs. I think it's a great step for them, and I believe they're on their way, honestly.
Oh yeah, they're on their way. And let me tell you something too. Everybody needs to keep an eye out. They're on tour.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're going to be on tour in September. I think it starts off here in the Pacific Northwest, and the tickets are only $40. And let me tell you something too. They're opening up for Dirty Honey, and that's a band right there that people need to keep an eye on.
Yeah,
Dirty Honey, they're doing it. I love everything they've done so far, and
they're actually coming to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I'm thinking about taking the road trip to go see Dirty Honey and Dorothy, because I think it'd be worth their trip. And it's like $30 for the ticket.
Yeah, it's like they're wanting 40 up here. So I'm gonna try and make the John up to Seattle to see them. They're going to be at the Knit Factory.
Yeah. So what'd you give this one?
I'm gonna give it an 8.
Give it an 8? Okay.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Give it an 8 because
that's a good score.
Well, the thing is
it has the potential.
It has the potential, and I hope like she sticks to her guns on her recovery.
I'm definitely going to keep an eye on her. I'm going to watch the progress of the band. I'm been checking out their tours and watching some of the videos recently that they've been doing, and I want to go see them. I'm glad they're not touring with Greta Van Fleet. Thank goodness. Thank God. I can go see them.
I haven't heard anything about them lately. So
yeah, but anyway, well, great record. I think everybody should check it out. I hope they'll get up there into the scene and everybody will hear about them, because I didn't know who they were until recently. Never heard of them. So,
well, the other thing is people got to remember she came over from Budapest.
Yeah,
her mom had to flee the country.
Yeah,
because their relations were their family members there were involved in the wrong side of the government, and they had to get out of there and come over here to seek some freedom and start all over again. And I think that's got a lot to do with her addictions and stuff. I mean, I can see that. Sure. It's not knowing where you're going to be and what you're going to be doing. And the thing is, just people just get out there, show some support.
Yep. Absolutely.
Like I said, you know,
there's a lot of talent here, so I hope everybody supports it and keeps it around, you know. So
well,
that's a great show, man. Dirty Honey and Dorothy. You can't go wrong with that show.
I mean, about the only thing to make it better is put Rival Sons in there. You know?
Man, I mean, I'll drive all the way to Spokane for that. So, and I'm over here in Carolina, so you know.
Yeah. And yeah.
All right.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up here. Dorothy, Gifts from the Holy Ghost. Looks like that. Yep. Check it out. I gave it an 8.6. Mike gave it an 8.0. You will enjoy this record for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Until next time, maybe we'll see you at a show. Stay safe.
Right. Peace out and listen to the music.